Hi there guys, welcome to one of these daily videos. I encourage you to look in the description what these daily videos are for myself and for you, what they mean, what this playlist means. And so if you've got 5 or 10 minutes to listen to something improvised that I'm going to talk about, then I encourage you to stay. And I hope you enjoy it. So today, as I pushed the button of this phone, I decided that I would talk about steroids in general, the dangerous, basically, world of this fitness industry, and most likely the false idea that they can be taken safely. So I'm gonna try to remember and everything that I could talk about this subject, although it's not gonna be easy because nothing is prepared. I have no paper, nothing. So, to start with, I think that there is in the industry this idea that steroids can be taken safely, and so obviously, a lot of influencers provide this idea, unconsciously or consciously. And unfortunately, well, influencer comes from influence. They have a bad influence in the end on a lot of people and a lot of young people. So one of the main things that I see in the industry that makes steroids basically give this sense of protection that you can take them, that it is safe, is that a lot of people who talk about steroids obviously are still alive. And a lot of them are still alive and don't really have complications yet, like health complications. So if you take something that is dangerous but don't really have yet the dangerous effects of it, then you're gonna tell people that they're not dangerous, and you're getting the benefit and basically without endangering yourself. So then that's word of mouth, and even more than word of mouth, that's word of social media with millions of subscribers that some influencers have, basically telling that, justifying that basically they're not dangerous, and they justify this by saying, well, so far I've been doing things the right way, and so I haven't got anything bad yet. I've got great results, so steroids are not that bad. And it's even more vicious with SARMs, which obviously are like steroids, but maybe not showing directly the effects yet, but obviously are really dangerous. They're even more vicious. I don't even think the most dangerous things are actually the most dangerous, but the vicious and slightly dangerous things are actually very dangerous. For example, if you talk about heroin or this kind of drugs, like they're so hard, like no one is gonna try them, but people are willing to try the other ones that they will actually get addicted to, and that will basically mess them up in the long term. And like steroids really give this vibe that they're not as dangerous as like heroin or kind of like hard drugs, but they actually are, and like they don't particularly hit you straight away, but when they hit you, well, you're already almost done. So that's the thing that is very vicious. Also in the fitness industry, most of the people are young. So because they're young, obviously they're going to resist better to the drugs. And so if they have big audiences, like we see so many today, a lot of young people have big audiences, they take steroid young, then they're more resistant to the drugs. And so again, for the 1 or 2 years they take them, they might not feel the direct dangerous effects of steroids. And by this time, they have already spread all the negative bullshit, basically, that steroids can be taken safely. And they justify this safety by a lot of things that aren't true. That could seem true for a little while. That kind of like makes sense, but like if you look behind, it actually doesn't really make sense. So in these things, I see things like Bloodwork. A lot of pro bodybuilders talk about blood work and how as long as you do these things, you're protected. And because it has elements of truth, it gives obviously a false sense that it's all true. But behind this sort of truth, where obviously it might be better to do it, yet it doesn't protect you at all from one day being basically damaged to a point where there is no return. So basically, it reassures you, and it actually offers you this sense of protection that is very vicious, because you're hiding behind something that you believe, but deep inside you kind of know that it's not true. And so the steroids, the blood work, it kind of falls in this category. You're gonna do your blood work. Your doctor is gonna tell you, well, you're all good, nothing special. And then, well, one day, the doctor tells you, well, actually, there is something now. Well, what you're gonna do now? Like, you're just making the blood work until the doctor tells you, well, it sucks now. So, from some diseases, you know, obviously the blood work could be helpful in a way that you kind of like feel like things are going in the wrong way, and so you're gonna stop. But blood work doesn't do anything, and sometimes just a clot just appears like that, and you couldn't measure it. So basically, it's gonna make you feel protected and safe until it's not anymore. And so it might be the 2, 3, 4 first years, and then the fifth year, like it's not even that you get a slight thing that you could prevent. You get like a big thing that there is no return on it. So you're basically lying to yourself until something bad happens to you. With this kind of methods. Um, of course, I'm not saying that if you're gonna go the steroid way, that you shouldn't try to take them safely. Obviously, like if you're going to take drugs, like the most, like it's just like in the gym at a natural level. If you want to, like you have to be patient. You have to go gradual. It's kind of the same thing. You want to like taking massive dosages straight away is not going to do anything good for you. And I would argue that the best bodybuilders today don't really take, well, not in this industry, but we've seen in the old school bodybuilders that the best physique, they have incredible physique that even people prefer today to the other ones. Yet they weren't taking as much. They were still taking probably a lot for some of them, but it wasn't as hard, like as hard drugs as we do today. And so it's always the same thing. Like you can't try to fast forward the results, and in the steroid world, it's the same. So someone that is trying to take things fast and that doesn't do it with a structure, with understanding what he's putting in his body, the best way possible is obviously gonna put more chances to go messed up. And so regarding that's the problem of improvisation, is that I will sometimes lose some ideas that I wanted to say. Yeah, basically it's not because you take steroids that safely, or like the safest way possible, that you're not gonna be the one that just doesn't have the genetics for it and that will suffer from it after 1 month. Because the ones that are influencers are the only ones that obviously are still lasting long enough to tell you that it's all good for them. But how many people are influencers in the world? Not a lot. And a lot of people that are casually going to the gym and that take stuff actually get issues after 15 weeks or 15 days or 1 month, and things that already show no signs of good luck of you getting back your health. So that's the thing as well. The ones that are champions today taking steroids and that last on the pretty long term, like call it until 60 years old, they have the genetics to take these things, or not the genetics but the luck to be able to resist to these drugs for such a big amount of time. And because they have this luck, they manage to have enough time to train, to build their physique up, to go to to the stage and go to big competitions, etc. But for all these people that manage to do this, how many people that you don't see in the gyms actually suffer after only 1 month of taking this stuff? We only see, obviously, on social media the ones that resisted well to the drugs for a pretty long amount of time, and the ones that we see on stage usually that are champions for years and years, they're the exception to the rule. I've managed to take these drugs for a long time. They had the luck, the genetics to respond well to the products and to not be too damaged from it too shortly, too soon. But for one of these people, there is 100 behind that do suffer. And sometimes it's like the Russian roulette game. You don't really know what you're gonna get when you take these things, even if you do it safely. That's where I wanna come from. You obviously, if you're gonna take steroids, wanna do it the, the most safely possible, because you're putting more chances on your side not to like do some like like stupid ideas. But at the end of the day, even if you try to do things well, you're touching drugs, and you're taking the risk to literally mess your health within a month because you've taken that. So there is no safe way of taking drugs. There is a safer way of taking them, but still knowing that depending on who you are, you won't know if it will mess you up after 1 month or after 10 months or after 3 years. But at some point, it will mess you up. Like, unless you're like an absolute exception, it will mess you up after, maybe 4 or 5 years, and, maybe after. But at some point, there is a high chance it will come back to you. And so I think that I've managed to talk about most of the things about how basically the fitness industry is lying to you by explaining you that most of the people who promote steroids today that are competing, etc., haven't suffered the consequences yet of what they take, and so they talk about something that is true in the way that, yes, it hasn't been dangerous for them yet, particularly like for them at this point. So they're saying something pretty true, but behind, you have to look behind. There is a massive issue, is that I think that most of the people that are talking about, steroids that can be done in a safe way today are just waiting to see that something bad is going to happen to them. And so I don't want this to be you. And that's why I wanted to basically give you a hint, if you're starting in the fitness industry, of this fake truth that you see online by the influencers that take stuff, and that behind this there is a trap, and that you shouldn't fall for it. So I probably forgot a few things, but if this video was too long, it would be too boring as well. So as I said in these videos, daily videos, I always will come back to a very detailed video that will be prepared on the same subject. All these daily videos that I make will be found in detailed videos at some point, where everything is explained again seriously with a good structure. And so you should never be worried that I forgot something, because I won't forget something, and will always come back with what you need to improve and to have a great bodybuilding journey. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you did so, it's important that you leave a like or some comments where I can answer your questions and hopefully gather them as well for maybe Q&As, etc. So take care of yourself, guys. I wish you a good evening or a good day, whether you live in Europe or the US or in the east side. Take care, guys. See you next time for a new improvised subject.